All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Sawadee Cup, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Where we are in the middle of it, and I mean we're in deep. Let me see how things are going here. Make sure we got everything working all right. I don't know. It looks like it's okay. Let me see here. Take a look. Yeah. Looks like everything is peachy. All right. Very good. Very good. Today, right now, good morning, Carlos. Good morning. Right now, it is 88 degrees. Feels like 99 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning. High at 90, low at 81. Winds south-southwest, 7 miles an hour. Chance of rain, 20%. Humidity is 69%. And the visibility, as almost every single day, it is 6 miles. The visibility is almost always 6 miles for some reason. Maybe they're just guessing. Who knows? Today, we want to give a big shout out to Mr. Henry, Mr. Bilal, and to also the one and only Mr. Jono, because Jono's got to get vaccinated. Well, he doesn't have to, but he's going to get vaccinated mañana, and he's going to Bangsu, the new train station, where they have 15 cars now set up as isolation centers. And there are loads and loads of people going there. I feel extremely fortunate to having not gone there. Yesterday, I went and got my second shot. And I can tell you that the number of people there, the numbers were pitiful. The first time I went in, I did a little video, and there were literally hundreds and hundreds of people rolling in all the time. Yesterday was, it was like I'd go into a room and there's 20 people in the room. So I don't know what's the difference between getting the second shot and the first one. Maybe people got scared. I don't know what the deal is. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Johnny. I don't know what happened, but something doesn't seem to be the same. Maybe people are just leery and weary. I know I'm weary. I'm tired of all this. It's just one thing after another, you know. You hear things in the news all the time. Supposedly, they're going to tighten things down here in the whole country, and especially in places that are the deep red zone. And it's like, what else is there right now? I was thankful to be able to go out yesterday. I mean, I can go out if I want. You know, I can go out anytime I want. But for what? Nothing's open. Okay, I get to go to some place that's open that's vaccinating people, or that maybe is open for food, and I get to do takeout. And, you know, maybe there are some little shop houses where you can go and sit down. They're not going to get nasty about it. You can go to a market. You can go to shopping centers if you want to just go grocery shopping. But other than that, it's not like you're going to be going out running around, not in Bangkok at least. And I had thought about going somewhere else, perhaps Longhorns and I go somewhere, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth the hassle. And I really would like to, but it just doesn't seem worth the hassle. And I think it's going to get worse in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, this is the thing, you know, I wanted to think about, well, okay, let's say that we just get through this. And I believe eventually we're going to get through this. However, I've heard that it's going to take at least a year to get the number of people vaccinated that would be considered safe. They may open up in October, but to me, it's foolish. It's really foolish to be opening up. It's foolish what they're doing right now. I mean, yeah, okay, they're bringing in some money. And granted, it's needed. The people need it. But what the people need is they need their government to vaccinate them, to get these vaccinations or to allow them to be purchased without using the government as a middleman. And, you know, I saw a letter. I don't know how old this was. I think it's fairly old. But someone that I know was writing about how the military only wants Moderna, or only wanted Moderna. They don't want Sinovac. And it's like, wait a minute, you're going to give the people Sinovac, but your military and the health workers are not going to get Sinovac. Now the health workers are going to get the Pfizer, which has been donated by the United States. So the Thai government's not doing this. This is not the Thai government giving them vaccines. The Thai government's been too cheap, in my opinion. And they're a day late and a dollar short. And so quite frankly, I am a little bit irritated by the whole situation. I'm irritated by all of it. I'm irritated about the world, the way that it is right now. I'm irritated about how the government's taking care of not only foreigners. Let's just make no mistake. This is not us against them. In the beginning, maybe somebody can construe it as that. You can think, you know, like it often is in Thailand, oh, those Thais and oh, those Farang. But at the end of the day, really, let's make no mistake that the Thai government is, they are equal opportunity, an equal opportunity government. They discriminate against everyone. So you got the Burmese, you know, being held in their camps. You got the Thais who are getting really the short end of the stick, and then you got foreigners who I view myself fortunate in being able to get any vaccine, but they could have avoided all this, and that's what really just. And then you have stories of an older woman who has two daughters, 7 years old and 9 years old, and the old lady knew she was sick and knew she was really sick. She went to the hospital and they let her go. They said, no, you go home. We'll give you some medicine, go home. She went home and she told her daughters, I think I'm going to die. You need to go to an orphanage. And sure enough, she died. You know, I mean, and then people on the streets, and it's just, and, you know, I guess I'm not too upset because I know how Thailand is. I've been here a long time. I know how the government is. I know that as bad as some foreigners think they have it here, listen, Thais don't have it easy either. You know, they're not getting $600 a week like some places, or $500 a week, whatever it is. And Carlos knows there's people sitting in parking lots, people running to get to trucks and carts that are passing out food in Pattaya. There are people running because they need that food. They want that food. They have no money. They're not eating. They're in a bad way. And when people start starving, when people start worrying about how are they going to eat, things get bad really quickly. And so I don't know what the whole purpose of a more strict lockdown is, because it's pretty strict now. I would think that if they were smart, they, like I said before, they would beg, borrow, and steal. Now we have the soy dog here today. Fortunately, I guess he's feeling well enough to come on in, and maybe we'll have Battalion Bob. I don't know, not sure, but we'll see. I don't know where Mr. Chucky is. He's been running around. I talked to him the other day. We had a heated, spirited debate. Because he's always happy. He's happy about everything. And I'm like, dude, now is not the time to be extremely happy. It's just not, you know. All right, let's bring Soy Dog Cowboy in here. I've been yapping for a few minutes here. But first, wait a minute. I got to say this. Listen, if you haven't clicked the thumbs up, please do so. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. You don't have to click the notification bell if you don't want to, and then you won't be bothered. But you will have me subscribed, and it helps me, helps with the numbers, helps me get closer to 15,000. Supposedly, once you hit 15,000, things get a little bit better. And you got some people who are a little bit irritated because they can't come into the stream because they haven't subscribed, or they're a troll or whatever, and they want to leave the thumbs down. And I don't give a fuck. It makes me happy. Keep leaving them thumbs down. Keep leaving them. Doesn't matter to me. I don't give a flying fuck. And if you say one thing in this stream at any time that I construe as a troll comment, that's it. You're banned. You're gone. It's like you can keep subscribing and subscribing, or you just get banned over and over again. So it doesn't matter to me. I don't give a flying fuck. Simple as that. So keep leaving them thumbs down there, pinheads. You're the reason the internet is a fucked up place. The internet's a fucked up place. The world can be a fucked up place. Quite frankly, I want out of this situation, but so does everybody else. And let me tell you something. I was thinking about it yesterday. There's a lot of people who are in a really bad way. And every time I start getting really bummed out about this, and it happens, I'm sitting there going, all right, what should I do now? Well, I did that just 3 hours ago. What should I do now? Well, I did that yesterday. Do I really want to do that again? Where can I go? Where should I go? Every time I start thinking like that and I start going, fuck me. Every time that happens, I think about the people who they have no food, they're dying, and their kids are watching them die. Whole families are getting torn apart here. It is bad here. And that pains me to say that, but I know how the Thai government is. I've been here a long time, as I said, and I know that they've never been the ones to run out and help their people like some places will. And what's so funny is I saw a tweet today, and it says, it's from a woman, and I don't know if this woman is Thai or Indian or what she is, but she says, holy shit, we got nominated for an Emmy. And you look down and it says, how the U.S. bungled the plague. Now, if the U.S. bungled the plague, what do you call what's going on in Thailand? I mean, what do you call it? If the United States bungled the plague and people are back to normal in many places, now you got the big thing, and this is what made me think of today's title, Reviews of the Future Normal. You got places where you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. You don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to wear a mask. And some places are going, no, if you don't wear a mask, you're not going to come in. And the government, the U.S. government is saying, they're saying now, well, I mean, this Jen Psaki compared to, what was her name? Kayleigh McEnany. Compared to her, it's like a dunce and a genius. That's it's just crazy. And apparently she said something about how even though you're vaccinated, you need to wear the mask. And people are going, well, why would I get vaccinated then? Oh, because then you might get the people who haven't gotten vaccinated, you might get them sick. And while you won't die, or you shouldn't die, you'll get them sick. Well, then maybe they need to get vaccinated. Sorry, this is the science. It's not my responsibility to make sure other people get vaccinated. Scott, I already have people asking about what time I will start next week. Just 4 people helping with packaging and word of mouth. People are already looking forward. Now, are you paying for that, Carlos, out of your own pocket, or are you? What's going on with that? Because I believe that Longhorns and I can help a little bit. I mean, not a huge amount, but we're willing to help. So out of pocket. All right. Well, we can talk after the stream. I don't know where Longhorns is. He's probably laying in bed, just laying there watching his tablet, watching this right now. Who knows? Or he's fast asleep. He's been so busy lately. Busy doing nothing. Yeah, that would be good. I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea for us to go to Pattaya right now. I really don't know. This is the thing. One place says one thing, you hear other things from people that are traveling. Some people are traveling and they're doing it just for their own selfish purposes. And while I'm not against people being able to do what they want, I think now is not a good time to just go, well, I want to go to the islands and go chill out for a while, unless you're vaccinated and unless it's safe. And I don't know, here in Thailand, there's a very real possibility they'll shut down the Phuket sandbox. I mean, technically they're supposed to, because they have been over 95 cases in a week. Take that for what it's worth. That's what they say. But if they make the guidelines, then why don't they stick to them? Now, I wanted to start out on a little bit lighter note. You know, I'm always talking about these guys who write me and talk about their girls and how they met their girl in a bar and everything was great, and everything, they lived happily ever after and all that kind of stuff, which is rare. But I saw a letter in the Pattaya Mail, and it says, yes, there are great differences, referring to the difference between women who work what are considered to be regular jobs and women who work in the entertainment industry. And even more than ones you mentioned, even such things as education level. If all you are looking for is some female company, then the bar is the right place. But the problem comes when the customer then falls in love with their English-speaking, easy-to-meet and know girl and forget the fact that they are customers, not boyfriends. Thai girls do not choose to work out of a bar unless they're looking for quick money without having any necessary qualifications to put them in high-salary jobs. They are using their looks, their presumed sexuality, and their ability to get money from the customers. You are paying for a commodity by meeting the fees demanded. When you fall in love with someone who is used to being fully paid for, the relationship is not really on the emotional plane, but on the financial one. I mean, haven't I said this for like all my life? And like all business deals, you can get burned, and many do. As you wrote, for my money, give me the bar girl every time. And that's what it is. Your money, and you're entitled to spend it any way you please. But don't complain if you find it, being the money, has all gone and the girl's affections with it. Once the money's gone, often the girl is gone as well. There is a phrase in business called due diligence. Apply it. And I thought that was quite fitting, considering I've been talking about this for many, many years. Let's see here. LOE, thank you very much. Choke D. That's the other thing. Listen, don't be shy, please. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm not one to. All right, I may bitch a little bit. I may bitch and moan a little bit. Did I bring Soy Dog Cow? I didn't bring him in. What did I do? I forgot all about him. Sorry about that. There you are.
Dude.
I was yapping. I got into a roll.
I'm sitting there waving to you. I'm like, what is going on with this guy?
So sorry. How you doing?
Good. You know, just you're my second stream of the day. This is how much time is on my hands. that
I feel like sloppy seconds. What's going on?
Sloppy seconds. I was on a stream around noon my time. Yeah, it was noon my time. So that was at 11 o'clock p.m. Yesterday, I guess. And then yours.
You're a legend.
You know, what can I say? I got nothing to do. Oh Lord, I tell you, aside from falling apart, is those people who know me. You know, I've got from the eye and the heart, and now my neck, which I went to a chiropractor for the first time in my life.
Yeah,
and actually, it felt a little better, so I was surprised, but a little nervous. Getting old.
Well, actually, and then you're getting old.
Yes, you're old. Arrived. I know. And then I had to bring my car in because my air conditioner kept on breaking. I had to replace the compressor. That was a nice grand out of my pocket, $800, out of my pocket. So it's like, it's fun. It's fun times.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it fun here.
No, I mean, it really is extraordinary when you look at that. And frankly, all over the world, really, you're seeing pockets of issues. I mean, Thailand itself is a mess. I heard, and I don't know if you mentioned it yet, I hear that I guess on the 31st of the 1st, Koh Samet now is closing down. And
Well, it is.
Um,
I believe it's a national part of a national park, and so
the whole island is a national park.
yeah, and so
I
they
didn't know
may be
that.
closing it because of that. The other thing is that my wife has heard many things on the Thai news, but what
Mm.
she has heard is that things are going to get worse. They're going to start uh, more and more restrictions. I don't know what they can do when it comes to restrictions, aside from maybe what she did say was they're going to get more strict about the traveling from province to province. Like there will be no travel from province to province. There will be no buses. There will be no flights. There will be no trains. Uh,
I
there will
mean,
be none of that.
well, you know, the thing about a virus, though, is that a virus has traveled all over the world, whether it's the Delta variants or starting from all the way from 2 years ago from the original virus from Wuhan. So, while it may slow it down a little bit, I think from closing the borders between province to province, it's going to get around. The answer is to get a high vaccination rate. Thailand is very far behind on that.
Yeah, you
Um,
know me.
and yeah, and other countries too. It is it's a problem. And then, of course, you have the anti-vaxxers and buying into that silliness. So,
Well,
you know,
you don't have a whole hell of a lot of them here in China.
no,
They just didn't really. There's a lot of people that did not want to take the Sinovac, or there's some people that didn't want to take the Sinovac. I got my second shot yesterday, and supposedly in another couple of months I will get a Moderna or a Pfizer booster.
well, that's great. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the booster. I was just talking about that with my father today. Is that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and we talked about this. Like, when are we going to be getting boosters? And I think that that's absolutely coming, and I think it will happen. When the flu shots come around again in the fall. So, right now, I'm vaccinated. I have 2 shots of Moderna, and that's great. But I just know, they I haven't heard anything about it. That's sort of gotten traction of, hey, you know what? You're going to have a booster in the fall. But I don't see how that's not going to happen. And will it be enough to do that? Because these companies that are making the vaccines, they sell them to the highest bidder. Basically, it's kind of how it works.
Yeah,
So
and the other thing is that there is a shortage of some of the products that they need to make the vaccines. They're having issues filling the orders because they can't get all the products they need to make the vaccines. So that's slowing them up because so many people want it so quickly that they haven't been able to get as many as they want. Now, here's the thing. I'm trying to think about, well, what's the future going to look like? And I look at America and I go, okay, so now they're fighting about, okay, we're vaccinated and there's other people not vaccinated. So it's the vaxxers against the anti-vaxxers, right? It's the people who believe in the virus and the people who don't believe in the virus. And then you get the people who are going to say, you can come into my place as long as you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, you can't come in. And so you have all these, point, counterpoint, yin and yang aspects of this whole situation. And here in Thailand, the people, all they want is be able to get the vaccine. They're not fighting about should we use it or not. Now they're pissed off about having to use the AstraZeneca and the Sinovac as opposed to Pfizer, Moderna. They don't like that.
well, the AstraZeneca one, in all honesty, it's a good vaccine. It's just,
okay.
But it's the Sinovac one that's kind of like, I don't blame them.
Sinovac and Sinopharm. But my wife has been talking about it with me, and she said, now there's quite a few people that can't get into hospitals. I got a message yesterday that said it was something around 20,000 people are waiting to get into hospitals and they can't get in. And then what my wife was saying, what the Thai news had said, is that even if they get in, there's not enough now. They're short-staffed. They don't have enough doctors and nurses to be able to take care of all of the people because you still have other things going on. People having heart attacks, people, hypertension or whatever it might be.
Well, Scott, the U.S. kind of went through that in the beginning as well, which was, it was, what was it like? There wasn't enough beds, and there wasn't enough ventilators, and there wasn't enough, and then they opened up. I know in New York, they opened up the Javits Center, which is a convention center, and put beds in there, and they had a ship, that was there. Which, by the way, they could do in Thailand as well. They can convert.
They're already doing
multiple. Yeah, like I read today, they're converting a train, like unused train cars.
And Jono is going there tomorrow to get vaccinated. The thing with him is, I told him for a while, I said, listen, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to be really proactive, because it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get this. A couple of months ago, like when I first registered, it was a pain in the ass for somebody like me to get. I was wondering, when am I going to get vaccinated? And so he was like, I don't know, maybe I'll go back home to United States. And my wife knows all kinds of people that she works with that have flown to the United States, taken a little holiday, gotten vaccinated, and then come back to Thailand. And some of them have come through Phuket. And, it's just, it's inexcusable what happened. Here's the thing. When you start costing people a lot of lives, when you start costing a country hundreds of thousands of lives, or thousands of lives, whatever, hundreds of lives. In the case of Thailand, it's thousands. But causing a lot of grief, because, think about it. It's not just the dead people. It's the dead businesses. It's the dead industries. It's all of these things, which makes me think about what is the future going to be like. Good morning, Gennaro. But, he's going to Bangsu tomorrow. And yes, they've converted them into isolation centers, is what they've done, these cars. But there's so many people there that people are starting to go, hey, wait a minute. I'm going over there. Isn't it dangerous for me to be over there when there's no social distancing? People are on top of each other, fighting to get into the place. So what's the point of that? What happens to social distancing? And in some places, they are very, very good about it. And the Thais really have worked hard. The average Thai person is willing to sit. I saw at a bank yesterday, there was probably 25 people sitting outside on chairs, all separated. And it was like the whole parking lot was nothing but people sitting outside, socially distanced, waiting to go into the bank. So, they are trying. But I just think that the government's screw up, if you want to call it that, is what caused things to get out of hand here. If you don't vaccinate people, people are going to get ill. It's just, this is the way it is. And you can believe in all this. You don't have to believe in it or whatever. Yeah, you got a 4:00 appointment, man. I'd go at 9:00 in the morning, honestly, because they don't care about the appointment time. At least they don't care where I went at Thai Hospital. They tell me to come in at 2:00. Then I get a message saying come in at 1:00. And I went in at 10:15. And I was out by 11:30, 11:45.
That's surprising. That's surprising because obviously you want to have some type of organized way of giving out vaccines.
The idea is that you go in at the time you're supposed to go, and it protects them from being overrun with people at any one time.
Exactly, and that's really that's really how it's supposed to work. And but in the end, they just need to get enough vaccines for everybody and distribute it enough. A lot of the people that are coming to the hospitals don't need to be there. Again, so here it was. If you were having trouble breathing, then you should go. But other than that, there's not much they can do. They weren't giving out any medications. So it really was a matter of, if things got so bad, that they can put you on oxygen.
Yeah.
And you know, it's definitely hard for the people
Listen,
in
I
Thailand.
just got an update, a quick update through Line. Another record day here in Thailand. 16,533 new cases. Only 202 of them from prison, and 133 deaths, which is also the high. And it may not sound like much, but now there's almost, what is it, 4,397 deaths in Thailand. So, you know, I don't think that they can, what I've been looking at is, okay, so what is the future going to look like? And if you figure out how many doses they have coming in, they have 1.5 million doses of, what is it, Pfizer coming in from the US government today. Okay. They have another 20 million supposedly coming in by the end of the year to the end of the first quarter. So who knows when that will be. Then you have another 5 million Moderna. That's 26 million, 26.5 million doses. That's enough to do 13, about a little more than 13 million people. And right now they've got about 5%, and that'll add another, they'll have, by that time they'll have about 13% vaccinated. So that means 13% vaccinated by the end of the year to the end of the first quarter, depending on if they get any more, which I don't think they will. I think they get it in May, the next batch of AstraZeneca. So what that means is you still have very few people vaccinated till the end of the year to maybe the first quarter. So how are they going to open up safely in October and say, hey, everybody, come on, come see beautiful Thailand? When people are worried about, you know, are they going to get...
Scott, they're not going to. I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
They're
you
not,
think they're
though.
not.
I mean, that's the thing is that...
You think they're not, but I didn't think
They're
they would
not.
do Phuket. I didn't think they would open up Phuket, and now Phuket has more cases than they were supposed to have, and they were strict guidelines, and we're not going to, and but they're like, well, we can't lock it down yet, because if we lock it down, nobody's going to come in, and this whole thing is a failure. But to me, it's already a failure.
But my Scott, that's my point, though, is that when October rolls around, you know, when October runs around and they see the issues that are happening, they're not going to be able to. It's going to even be about. You can't just say, well, we're open and people are going to show up, because I'm not going to go
now.
You know, right? I mean, even if they say, yeah, and unrestricted, you don't have to quarantine, just come on in. But the news is reporting all these cases and the Delta variant and God knows what else. Right. We're not going to come. And you know, even airlines,
hardcore traveler will come here. And you know, I would normally consider you to be that. I would, you know, Longhorns, when he comes here, he doesn't really care. He's got, you know, his little group of, a little circle, tight circle of friends. He doesn't really have to do that much. He just eats Thai food, and he basically lives here. It's like he's living here as a local. He doesn't come here and expect to live or to you know, go and see all the sites and do all kinds of things. I think what he said to me was the only thing he'd really like to be able to do is dine out with friends. And right now you can't. You know,
you can't do that. You can't go to the bars and hang out with, you know, with your friends. You can't do a lot of things. Plus, if reality is that we really shouldn't be traveling there, it's simple, you know. So the right thing to do is not to come, and I'm not going to come. And I think a lot of people won't. Plus, it's not as simple as that. Like the airlines themselves, they've cut back so significantly on the routes to Thailand that, you know, the prices are very expensive, more so than they usually are, you know, by 20-30%, it seems. And, you know, there's a whole host of issues. Someone told me today, like in Pattaya, they're closing down the Siam Hotel, which is a huge hotel, until I think for 4 months. So it sounds like they're going to try and wait until the high season comes around and then reopen. But I'm skeptical they will reopen if there's just not enough people coming. So, you know, and the U.S. is falling back a little bit. If you think about it, you know, countries that have been vaccinated but not fully, you know, the way all viruses work, all of them, is they mutate constantly. And the only way they won't mutate if they have no host to go to. So, but we don't have enough people vaccinated, even in the US, to do that. So once you get enough mutations to happen, the vaccines that currently work may not work down the road, and then they have to work on another one. So we're so far from out of the woods with this.
Okay.
And
Okay. So that brings me to the next question. Okay, because I know how I feel, but what I like to ask you is, okay, so what's your plan for coming back to Thailand, and when, or do you have one, and when do you think things will get semi-normal here?
Scott, I mean, again, this is all obviously just, silly chatter. We really don't know. But, my plan right now is definitely not in fourth quarter, which is October, November, December. I'm thinking like my advertising days. So let's say, I won't come in the fall, which is when I usually would come. And then I would look, and I've said this, well, let me see how things look in January. If January, which I have a feeling is going to be terrible, I'm not going to come January, February, March, and by that time, the spring is here in the States. I have my beach place here, so I'll stay here again. So the reality for me right now, if I were to say when I'm coming back, would be fall of 2022.
Fall of 2022.
So a year from October, this coming October.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly safe estimate. I would think, like, if things progress as hopefully they should, I think that's an estimate that, you might still you're gonna have to wear a mask. They're gonna be telling you to wash your hands. There's still gonna be guidelines and all that kind of stuff. It's not gonna be completely gone, but you'll be able to come here and travel around. But really, for me, I'm thinking of what is the future normal going to look like. Hello, Alpharetta Jim.
Well, what do you mean by the future normal? Like, what are you talking about, and specifically
well,
about?
That's the other question. Is like what is it that future normal is going to look like? Are we going to have to wear mask? Is everybody going to have to wear a mask even when there's 70 or 80% of people that are vaccinated? Is Thailand going to turn it around once they start getting their vaccines, and people are going to go, man, you can go to Thailand as long as you're vaccinated. You can go there. You don't have to quarantine. You don't have to do anything. Everything's great. You just basically have to give them your name. You have to let them scan a little thing that says, like, I got a paper now that says, you've been vaccinated. It's got a QR code on it. And so I saved it to my phone. I took a picture. I saved the QR page. When you go to that page, I save that. So if anything happens to the paper, I still have other backups. And, it's probably not good outside of Thailand, but, it's better than nothing. And I still think I'm going to have a hassle probably until at least the middle of next year. But I'm going to say 2023, the middle of 2023. Then it might get to the point where Thailand starts saying, okay, this is the new Thailand. We're back to normal, or whatever it is. And I don't even know that it's ever going to become like it used to be. And I mean, I'm not talking about the vibe or anything like that. I'm talking about the virus and the precautions and the lockdowns and everything else. I don't think it's going to happen for at least another year and a half or so, a year, because I don't think they're going to vaccinate people that quickly here. They're only vaccinating. I mean, it fluctuates, but it goes from like 90,000 people a day to, sometimes it's 75,000 to like 200,000. They're not really banging it out fast enough to be able to catch up. And so I think it's going to take quite some time. The only thing that I hope is at least you can go into a restaurant and sit down, and they don't continue. Imagine if more Starbucks and more McDonald's and all these kind of chains, they just start going, Thailand's not the place for us. We're out of here. We're not going to, sit here while they're for a whole year or a year and a half or 2 years while they decide to keep us locked down. We're not going to do that. We're going to just pull up and say enough. And some places have already.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I can't honestly give you a good opinion on what I think the future holds for
Well, it's just an
traveling
opinion.
around.
I mean, I understand that.
Yeah, like I don't know if I mean if Thailand got to 70% vaccination rate would be extraordinary.
I'll
That's
be
I mean that
surprised.
I mean the US isn't at 70%. Like that's amazing. So if you got to 70%, would they make you wear masks while like walking around the streets or outside? I would think not. I could see it saying mask requirements still in the malls, and like as you're walking around, which would be unfortunate as well. But it's just hard to say. I mean, that's a future. I can't even wrap my head around. I mean, when I look back 2 years ago, and I can't even believe that the world is at this place right now. Like
Right.
nothing in my imagination ever would ever think this. I remember when that movie came out. Was it Contagion or whatever it was with?
Great movie.
Yeah, it was
Eerie movie.
and they were on the plane, and you see the virus and whatever. And I'm like, that's the first time I ever thought of anything like that. And that was like 5, 6 years ago or longer. Whenever that thing came out, I never would have imagined. And there was never a scenario that this was something that I try and explain this to people. Not only is this something I never would have think would happen, it never even entered my consciousness like that. This is something that can happen. I mean, maybe nuclear war. I've imagined. Oh, that would be terrible. Or something like that. This type of situation never crossed my mind, and so for me to even imagine what 2 years from now looks like is
Well,
crazy. It's just
you know what?
crazy.
I'll tell you something. Uh, I have thought when I was a young kid, I thought, how would the human race be eliminated? And I didn't think nuclear weapons. I thought some kind of airborne virus. I didn't, know, oh, well, this is how it's going to go down. But I just thought, imagine if people, and I didn't even know anything about it, but I just thought about my own lungs. And if I got like pneumonia or something from being in a bar or bars with a lot of smoke, or I was outside and I was out in a polluted area and it was hard for me to breathe. And I thought, what's going to happen is the world's going to keep expanding. And for some reason, it's going to be something in the air is going to get to the people. And that's going to cause the demise of the human race. That's what I thought when I was a little kid. And then when I saw that movie Contagion a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it was, man, I just was like, who made this movie? They must have known exactly what was going to happen. Because I was like, how on earth did they know this?
Well, I mean, what was it? The Andromeda Strain, Michael Crichton's book, which was made into a movie. I mean, this is certainly a scenario that's not unusual. And biological warfare is something that's always been talked about. I have no idea. It does bode the question, though. Obviously, we now know that this is something that could be very effective. So, if they had like something where they already developed they developed a vaccine for, this is the crazy movie, they would do
I think
and
definitely
right. So, okay, we've got the vaccine already. Now we'll spread out this disease. We'll all be vaccinated so it won't affect us.
I don't think that's what they did, but I think
no, I don't think so either. I'm just making up some
I'll
scenario.
tell you what effect this has had on me. Okay. The other day I said when I went out with Longhorns and I went over to Jono's and we were all, by the time I went to Longhorns and then we all went, we went to Jono's and we hung out and then I went home. I hadn't been out for, except by myself and really keeping to myself for quite some time. And I felt weird, man. I felt like, man, this is like strange going out and being around people. It's like sensory overload. And then yesterday when I went out, I took a Grab. I get in the Grab. You got to wear your mask in the Grab, right? So I got my mask on. Guy's got his mask on. Sat there, went all the way down there to the hospital. Get to the hospital. You got to wear your mask. Can't take it off. You go in the whole time. You got your mask on. I went out. I had a little bit of water so I could pull my mask down and drink a little water, right? By the time I had to go and get some groceries, by the time I came home, man, I took that mask. I was like, man, God, get that thing off of me. It's like I was gone for about 3.5, 4 hours. And I had my mask on the whole time. And I'm like, this sucks. And then I thought to myself, I want to go out and shoot photos out and about what's going on in Bangkok, because I haven't done any photography and I need to do it. And I'm like, all right, soon enough. And I've been thinking about it a lot. And then I thought to myself this morning, I was walking down the stairs and, I was aching. I walked down and my feet were aching, my hips were aching, just going down the stairs because the stairs are kind of steep and I can just feel it sometimes more than others. And I just thought to myself, Jesus Christ, man, it's hot as hell out there. Do I really want to be traipsing around with a mask on like for half a day or a full day, sweating my balls off? I don't know that I could do what I did in Hong Kong again because of wearing the mask. I wore a mask in Hong Kong, but that was for tear gas. Other than that, I didn't wear a mask. It's much easier. So when you have to wear that mask, life is far different. And that's one thing I hope they just get rid of the mask, man. Human beings are not meant to wear masks all the time. You got to paint a car. You're inside of a place. You're out running around and they're shooting tear gas. Okay, I understand. But other than that, the whole wearing.
There are certain cultures, that have no issues, wearing a mask, while they're outside. It's just something we're not used to. I would agree. I when I flew from Florida and I was wearing the mask for the whole flight, it's not a long flight. There was a point where, I felt like, God, I really want to pull this down for a second to just get some circulation.
But of course,
I'm just not used to it.
The stewardess would come over. You had your mask down. You're out of here. We're gonna have to land right now. Kick you off.
Well, they would possibly do that, but it's funny when I was on the flight and they served drinks, and I'm like, and I literally asked her. I said, well, "What's the rule here? Like, can I pull the mask down to drink, and do I have to pull it down, drink, put it back up?" Like, I literally asked that question, and she appreciated it and laughed. She goes, and she was very kind of wishy-washy on the answer. Basically, I acknowledged that, if you have the drink, you could take the mask off. So, which is all silliness anyway, right? I don't have issues. Wherever they want me to wear one, I'll wear one. I'm not going to argue about it. But yeah, I know it. I will.
Do you wear a mask in the bathroom stall? If you go somewhere and you have to go into the stall, do you wear a mask or do you cheat and pull it down a little bit?
I will have to say I pulled it down. I know, that's funny. You're there and you're like, oh God. Although sometimes a mask might help in the men's room, right?
It depends on if it's number 1 or number 2, I guess. But anyway, let me read something here. There's a couple things I wanted to get into. Now the Prime Minister said Thailand will reopen fully to foreign tourism as infections and death continues to rise daily. He's asking the CEOs to work with the government and to try to avoid conflict at this time. He said that they all have to cooperate. And I don't know what the hell he's thinking. I think, now I hate to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I don't care. To me, obviously, this is the worst time in Thailand that I've ever had in my life when it comes to, lifestyle and living arrangement and all that kind of thing, simply because of the virus. Okay. But I would think that out of all the people that have been in office, and I don't remember them all because I really have not been into politics the majority of my life. This is the Thai people dislike this government probably more so than any other government since I've been living here. I don't know if that's really true, but that's my perception from what people have told me, because I can tell you that every single person that I've talked to has not said good things about what's, how things have been handled here and how the attitude towards the people and all these other kind of things. This is just what I've been told. So this is all anecdotal, but there's something to be said for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, a lot of governments have been bashed for the way they've handled things, and obviously, this particular government's been
It's
challenged.
Trump's fault. It's all his fault. Trump caused the vaccine shortage in Thailand. It's his fault.
Well, I mean, part of the vaccine shortage in general is, the United States and Europe, but mostly the U.S. bought up all of it. We were smart and took it all.
Yeah.
But such is life, right? Unfortunately, but again, once if the world isn't vaccinated, and no matter how much vaccine you have in the state, you're still going to have an issue, and that's really a problem.
Interesting that my wife said to me earlier today. She said, "You know why why the United States government bought up all the vaccines?" She goes, "They were smart. First of all, she goes, obviously they're going to vaccinate, their own people, but they knew that people would be flying to the United States and would get vaccinated because it would mean more money to more tourist revenue for their country." And I'm like, nah, I don't think they could. I don't think they think that way, but maybe they did, but she's like, no. She goes, oh, that's what I think, and I'm in the tourist industry. I know they're probably thinking, maybe we'll get a little side action from all the tourists coming in. We can make millions of dollars that way. I wouldn't put it past any government to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Although I just don't think that was necessarily the motivation for it, as opposed to we're the world superpower here. We're going to buy everything we can, and
I don't know the superpower of the day, but
and just take what they're going to do it. And that's why we're starting to send out vaccine at this point.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. All right, I got to stop you. We're sending out these vaccines. Why are people who are American living outside of the United States not receiving these vaccines? It's not mandated to make sure that a certain percentage goes to American expats wherever they're living. Because and I said this before, what the hell do I get from the American government now, other than, okay, I can say I'm an American. Okay, I have a passport, but I have to pay for that passport. That passport allows me to travel to numerous countries. Okay, I get that. Aside from that, what do I get? Really, what do I get?
Well, I mean, again, that's a big thing, but what do you get? And the fact is that you're living abroad, so which is your choice. I mean, if you think about it,
it doesn't mean that they can't tax me.
No, it doesn't. If you're generating the revenue that's coming, that's through that company, yes, they can. But again, those taxes are, federal taxes are federal taxes, and they will go for, the military and any type of federal programs that are in the United States.
And the vaccine program.
Well, listen, I don't think it's such a crazy idea, Scott, that what you're suggesting, I think this is what you're suggesting, is that, if we sell vaccine to, let's say, Thailand, that, X percentage has to go towards the Americans that are living abroad, right? So I mean, they could make that as part of the condition.
They could have done that.
Right. It would be interesting. It's politically, man, from a Thai perspective, boy, if that got out, which it probably would, that could look really ugly.
And how does it look when people are getting food that's donated by foreigners, and yet the Thais are struggling to be able to eat, and while they are helping some of the foreigners, a lot of the stuff donated is from foreigners, and they don't want that because it makes them look bad. So,
well, I mean, look, they're still doing it. I know from what I see, look, it's limited what I see. I see what's, on all these different YouTube channels, and occasional tiger, stories of, some bar or somebody, giving out food. I don't know if the government thinks it's bad that that's happening. It's never good, when people are hungry, and it's
No,
heartbreaking. And
what
I
I
see
said.
these, I just see, I see, it's so strange too. It's always fascinating. Like the economy that I see, whether it's in Bangkok or Pattaya or Phuket, we're seeing a lot of, it's really tourist stuff, and we see, the what it's doing. But Bangkok traffic is still insane. People
No,
are
it's
still
not.
going to work. They're still going to work, right? So,
Well, it's not
there's
insane, man. I can tell you that right now. It's not insane at all. It's far better than it's far lighter than it's been in quite some time. Much lighter. And I mean, I've only taken a couple of trips out in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But each time I did, it was very, very quick for me to get to these places. I mean, it took very little time for me to get to these places. Yesterday, when I went to, I have to go down by, I think it's, what is it, by Pahayutin or something like that. I forget where it is. But I mean, normally it would take me an hour, hour and 15 minutes to get to this place. It took me like 40 minutes. So
yeah.
it is, and like Longhorn says, traffic is baby now. It's baby. Traffic is baby. Let me read something here. I wanted to read this. I found this on Twitter, and this is what a guy said about the situation with the vaccines here in Thailand. Now, I did not write this. And, I'm going to do a video talking about the virtues and wonderful aspects of Thailand and its culture, because I don't want anybody to think that all I ever do is bash it. I'm talking about a particular situation that is ongoing here, which is why this situation has not been handled well. And it's not a very positive situation where everybody goes, hey, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're all going to get better in another couple of weeks. Our businesses are going to get back to the way they used to be. And no, Pattaya probably will never, ever be the same. Ever. They won't let it. Okay? But let me read this real quick. Certainly a very embarrassing situation for Thailand, with a country having advanced itself proudly with infrastructure, engineering, technology, science, and welfare over, I don't know about welfare, over the past 20 years. Its ability to protect those that live here is very disappointing. And I have to agree with that. If there's one thing that I will say about this place is the government never fails to disappoint me. Never. It almost always disappoints. And I'm not talking about immigration. I'm talking about the government itself and how it takes care of its own people. It's a bit, I don't like any government, but yeah, I'm not going to go on. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Several
It's not even worth it.
That a certain percentage to be used for citizens of the donating countries. On a side note, Vietnam government has the audacity to reopen wet markets. Well, it's not your country, and you have no say in the matter, and that's the thing. Somebody asked me a question the other day of whether or not a naturalized citizen can vote here in Thailand. And the answer is yes, after being a citizen for 5 years. So they don't make it easy. They don't make it easy to get permanent residency, for at least for retirees and people who don't have are not working with a company here. And they don't make it easy to become a citizen, as is the case with some other countries where you go in, you show you have a certain amount of money, and you've lived there for a very short time, in some cases 3 years, and you can get a passport or citizenship, whatever you want to get there, and you can buy land. There's all kinds of things. So there are some flaws in the whole immigration system here, but I want to go over that in a video in the next week or so. And but there's also some things that they're doing that you got to understand they're doing it for the benefit of their own country, because they can't worry about, oh, these guys are ass hurt because they can't stay long enough. Why should tourists be allowed to live here year after year after year on a tourist visa? I don't see any reason for that. So I think when it comes to the tourism industry, I don't see why, if you're a tourist, why do you need to stay here more than 6 months? I think that's quite generous. And if you want to stay for longer than that, then maybe, you can get a certain type of visa that costs more money, or you get an extension for a certain amount of money that is like a one-time thing or something like that. But I do think that Thailand's going to have to change in the future. And I mean, they're going to have to be a little more welcoming. I don't see that the way that they are now is going to work, because they're going to have to entice people to come here and make it really worth their while. And, you're talking about, for some people like United States citizens, people living over there in North America, it's a long journey to come over here. There are other places they can go where they don't have to sit on a plane, a bacteria tube.
Well, that's true of flying anywhere, whether it's, across the country or across the sea,
Yeah, but it's a long flight, man. I mean, you're around a lot of people. You're in, it's not like it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, like going from like Miami to the Caymans or something like that,
No, it's not. I mean, and it's a good point. I suffer from, I get panic attacks, and so I take Klonopin when I fly. But that length of time on a plane with a mask on over me, would be, claustrophobic for me. So I'm going to have to really take that into account. And I don't think that lifting masks from flights are going to happen anytime soon, even with being fully vaccinated.
And they are, they don't mess around, man. When you're on those planes, I mean, like I learned a long time ago, because, I've had people kick my chairs and stuff like that. I've had a kid whacking me in the back of the head over and over again, and the mother wasn't going to do anything. I've had people, stick their knees up against it and push on it. And, instead of me turning around and being difficult and having some incident, basically I just asked to be moved. But that's one place where you don't want to get into a situation on an airplane, bitching and moaning about a mask, because they will throw you in the back somewhere and make you wait to get off the plane and arrest you faster than you can say, put my mask on.
Okay.
Really, I mean, you think about all these people, and all right, I don't like wearing the masks. I don't like it. Who does? I don't like having that in. I mean, it's hard enough for me as it is. Living is hard enough. Then I got to throw some diaper on my face. And, but nobody said that, life was easy, but like, Jesus, man, they've made it to where it's such a hassle to go everywhere now.
It is, but look, I mean, I think that's the point that, most people are saying, is that don't go anywhere.
Well, listen, that's one of the reasons why I haven't gone very many places. I was talking to the wife yesterday. I said, it's got to be someplace I can go where I can go hang out and I can go do something or whatever. And she's like, okay, so think of one. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I go for a long walk. Yeah, but I'm going to have to wear a mask. Or if I don't wear the mask, then it's like I'm going to get a bunch of shit from people. And then if I don't wear a mask, like, and a cop sees me, I can get in trouble. And I'm like, all right, so what's the point of that?
Well, listen, I mean, you have the time. So this is a good time, I think, for those who don't have to, work every day, whether it's learning a new hobby or just doing something at home that you can, you've always wanted to do, whether it's reading or, catching up on movies, creating, doing a new hobby, things that will keep you motivated. But you stay at home. I mean, here where I'm at right now, I don't go out often. When I do, I'm on the beach. No one's around me really, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I haven't gone to, people, I see it. They're going out to restaurants. They're sitting in restaurants and bars, and I won't do it. I just,
Chucky's doing it. Listen, Chucky goes out to his little bars that he likes to go to, his little hangouts. He said that they are supposed to be wearing masks in LA, and that the sheriff's department is saying we're not going to do anything about the people not wearing masks. And and I don't know what the whole reasoning is behind it and all that. And I don't want to get into it because it's a political thing. It's a us against them, mask against no mask, all that kind of stuff. Listen, do whatever you want. And, if you get in trouble, you get in trouble. That's on you, I don't really care what anybody does. And I don't know if you saw, we talked about it, I think, the last time, but the guy that was in Pattaya who was threatening that British guy that was saying, I'm going to beat your ass or whatever.
Oh,
and,
got arrested.
He was saying, you need to be wearing your mask. And the guy's like, shut up. You're with some whore and all these other things. Look at you. You got chick tits or whatever. And that guy, they went to his house. I don't know if they arrested him or they just fined him or what the deal was. You didn't get very many specifics. My guess is they gave him
he was arrested. He was arrested.
They arrested him. They made him pay a fine of like 1,000 baht, 3,000 baht, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how much.
And they told him, if you do it again, you're going to have further problems. But please wear your mask. And I guess the guy apologized.
Well, he didn't have much of a choice.
No, you don't really. It's like, you apologize, say you won't do it again, or you're out of here. If they really want to do that, that's what they can do. This is not America where you're going to have to go through this long process. It's, we don't want you here. You've done something that is viewed as a great danger to our country. You're out. It's pretty much that simple. You have many opportunities to unmask on long flights, a couple meal service, drink service. If you sleep, you forget about the mask. Was easier than I expected. Interesting. Here in LA, still required to wear masks indoors. Soy Dog Cowboy has always been the voice of reason. I like that about him. I'm not reasonable. What are you talking about? Jono's spicy hot wings and homemade meals. Yeah. Longhorns came over here on Sunday, and we had a nice big spread, big batch of food thrown out by the old lady, and watched some UFC. I made the mistake of thinking that Hot Balls Derek Lewis was fighting, but that's not for, I think, another until the 7th of August. So I don't know why.
I didn't know he was fighting. Okay,
he is fighting. Good. He's fighting against this undefeated guy, Cyril Gain. But this was the T.J. Dillashaw fight that we watched. Good fight, but But anyway, we had a lot of good food, stuffed ourselves, and that was nice.
I feel more so frustrated for kids, and things that they can't do, and not being around their friends, and that's kind of a thing that's sad.
That is sad.
And so I'm hoping, that's really what I hope for. That I do hope we can get back to some type of semblance of what it used to be,
Nicholas is
something close to it.
He's never even he went one time to get some paperwork or whatever, or turn in some paperwork, and that's the only time he's ever been. He hasn't been. He's his first term. He's got like his first term is split up into two. So the first half of his first term is almost over. It'll be over in a couple of days. Then he starts the second half of the first term. Then it goes to the normal term where it's one term and then another term in 1 year. Alex,
that's a good example. Right, and you develop lifelong friendships in college and in high school, and and contacts, by the way, for when they people go out into the workforce. They're people that from college, and they can help you, and vice versa. So, and that's globally the issue, and it's sad. It's because you really want them to experience a great college life, which is something that is
and not only that, but for like Alex, he met a lot of people that he would play music with at the school. He met a lot of people there that were into music, and they would play at the school. And that is gone now. He can't do that,
Exactly. So, so you definitely have the issues with it when it comes to with kids and teens, and I feel bad for them. I really do. They're missing out. For me, I've always been able to kind of be a hermit. I hate to say anything.
I don't
I
mind
don't really.
being it, but I like to know that if I want to go out and I want to go somewhere, I have that option. And that's the same thing with
Of course.
exactly what Jono said to me. It's like, you know, it's okay that you have to stay at home. I'm all for staying at home. It's just that if I feel like going out, like I said to the old lady yesterday, I said, listen, hey, take it easy, Carlos. I said to her the other day, I said, listen, it'd be nice to go like when I'm on my way to the grocery, I sit down at the Starbucks or even some other coffee shop. I just sit down there and I chill out for 30 minutes and listen to some music and relax a little bit. And you can't do that now. Now, you know, it's
Correct.
only a couple of weeks, but hey, I'm guessing that this is going to go for at least another 2 weeks, if not another month, because the numbers are still increasing. Now, here's the thing. I mean, it does take some time to catch up. You know, just because somebody catches, you know, the virus, they might not be found out for another couple of weeks. And so they may not go into the hospital for 2-3 weeks, you know. But for now, I just don't see this ending here anytime soon. It's going to be another couple of weeks, if not another month or two. And they're gonna keep everything locked down. Now, I don't know, you know, what, like I said, what do you do when you stay locked down for months and months and a restaurant that is in, say, the mall can't even send takeout? What are they supposed to do? You think the 3 Starbucks in the mall Bankaby are all going to stay open when they can't even send things out from there? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get enough just through the apps.
Well, the thing is that I think it's going to be very challenging just because you have to coordinate, you know, what's known as essential workers. That's what they call them here. The people who are going to make food that are going to deliver it to your house, you know, and
right.
all those things. Like, you know, they got to get to work, you know, and you know, if they're coming from the outer outskirts of the city, you know, and you shut down public transportation, how are they going to get there? Like, there's just a lot of complicated logistics that have to happen to really shut everything down. But Scott, going back to your point, yeah, all those things and what John said is true. You know, I could stay at home easily, but you want to have the option to, you know, it's a choice. We just right now we just don't have that right now. I have it here because things have opened up, but you know, that could change at the drop of a hat in a month from now if this new virus takes over again and you know, we start going the other direction. So
Yeah,
we'll have to see. But you know, it's just it is a terrible time, and we just have to kind of try and, I know this sounds so hokey, but to all pull together and just try and get through it as best we can. Do what we need to do, you know, to try and mitigate, you know, the issues here as best we can, and then let's see what happens. Because really, it's just it's surreal. It is surreal what we're going through right now. It's
yeah,
it's so hard to wrap your head around all of it. And it makes me sad for a lot of people.
It does make me sad. You know, I mean, there are times when I'm irritated. There's times when I'm pissed. There's times when I get bummed out about this, and I'm just like, you know, when is it going to end? And there's times when I'm really sad for the people. I mean, when I see people sprinting to go and get food, and you're not talking about, you know, a huge amount of food, or, I mean, you're talking about a relatively small amount of food, and these people are desperate, man. They are. It's just, you know, it's how can you come up with any? I mean, like, how is it that the government thinks that people can that they can really promote Thailand? Isn't it in bad taste to kind of promote Thailand and say, hey, everybody, come on over. Thailand, you know, amazing Thailand, come over. It's beautiful. There's so many things to see. And then in the meantime, you got people dying on the streets. You got people who are, you know, clamoring for vaccines, clamoring for food.
Well, Scott, yeah,
but how are you supposed to promote that and say, hey, come on over, everybody? When people see that shit, they're going, what the? You know, to me, it's in bad taste. And they should, like I told you offline, what they need to do They need to be using every single, and I don't know that they are or they aren't, either way, but they need to be borrowing, and stealing every single vaccine. And they need to figure out if they need the military to be vaccinating people, then they got to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the military sort of got involved, I think, in the States in certain areas, just because, they're good with logistics. That's what
Exactly. That's the point.
That's what they do. That's what they do. And the Thai military can do that. They know logistics. They're not, I mean, when they had to rescue the kids out of that cave, that was the military, and they did a great job. So they're capable of doing it.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying to find out which place is the most safe in Thailand right now.
but it's kind of, I don't know, you have the tourist. We're more attuned to what's going on with tourism than, the average Thai person. Like, I don't really see the campaigns that we're launching all over the world to get people to come to New York, for example, for the opening in September, when there is, but I'm sure it's happening. They're out there somehow, doing their whatever they got to do to get people to come travel here.
Well, I think you're in a bit of a different situation than Thailand is in.
We are, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure the average Thai person, particularly from the villages or whatever, are seeing massive ad campaigns trying to get people to come to Thailand.
Yeah.
So what they're seeing is the other end of that, which is the other portion of their government not sending them checks, or their things are shut down and they can't work and they can't get food and blah blah blah. Those are things that are very serious for the Thai people, and it's hard. But there are portions of Thailand that they're working. They're going to the offices and they're doing their export business and whatever they got to do, and it's there. But
exports are up, actually. Exports are up, I think, 23%. It just came out the other day. Their exports from Thailand are up 23%, which I don't know how the exchange rate is going to affect that, because it's just started going. We're at 32.9 right now. We're almost at 30. Ooh. We've been, Carlos and I and Pattaya Bob have all been saying, let's hope it hits 33.5. We're thinking that this week it will go over 33, but it's still stuck to about 32.9. So I don't know if it'll happen, but
I would love to see that. I'd love to see it hit 40 and stay there for a few years. That would be awesome. For me. And I would love it. I'm not optimistic about that, but we'll see.
You know what? Let me just say something real quick. Right now, it looks like Thailand is all deep red, and orange, which really none of those zones are considered to be safe. They're all
funny, Scott. Doesn't that remind you of the same type of thing when they had the pollution scale? Like, and it was like, all of Thailand, 150 ppm, 120 ppm, when 20 is supposed to be safe. And you're like, what a mess.
Yeah.
And now it's that.
Well, but pollution in Thailand has got, at least in Bangkok, has gotten much better in the past couple of months, simply because there haven't been as many people out as before. Right now in this area, it's 15, which is extremely good.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, good morning, Niall. I believe they're all, from what I just saw, as of the 17th. Now, I don't know, it could have changed, but all of the zones are orange, red, and deep red. And Chiang Mai would be an orange. Now, that could have changed.
What about like, I thought Rayong was like, okay, like that area.
No. Not okay.
Because I was talking to another streamer, and they were like able to go out to restaurants.
Now, listen, just because you can go out into a restaurant, or you can go and hang out somewhere, and you cannot wear a mask because there's not that many people around, doesn't mean that they're not under the same stipulations. And that's what I was saying. And if I know who it is, I believe it's that, you know, that's someone who wrote me and said, it's a perfect time to leave Bangkok. No, it's not. Not the way I look at it, because I got to come back home. I got other people to think about, you know, and I don't want to get stuck somewhere and have a problem.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying though. In Rayong, I thought they, you know,
it's still.
I mean,
Rayong is red zone now, man.
Is it? All right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
they just declared it one. Let me see here. A couple of weeks ago or a week ago or something. Let me see.
No, I believe you. It's
I wasn't sure because I don't want to be spouting off.
How's the South doing? Like way south in the, you know, right where the unrest usually is. Are they doing all right?
They're okay. They're in, you know, they're in orange zone, but it's very difficult to get around. You know, they're not messing around, man, when it comes to this stuff. And yeah, okay, sometimes you're not going to have the checkpoints, you know, as strict as they say they are. Let me see here. Okay, well, maybe Chiang Mai is the yellow. I don't know, because I'm seeing two different reports, but the red zone, Ranong and Rayong are in the red zone. And I thought they got switched to the deep red. So this was as of about 2 weeks ago when I'm looking at right now. So it could have changed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I don't know. I'm not there. I just can.
You know, I've been trying to like just kind of keep up, but I don't want to get into it all that much, just because I'm so sick of it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It's enough. You know, I mean, like you say, there's other things you can be doing, and COVID. Koh Samui hasn't had many COVID infections. They also haven't had many tourists.
Well, no, they haven't. I mean, that's been a, you know, what's that woman? There's this woman. She has got a channel that she lives there, and you know, you walk down the street, it's empty. I mean, it's empty. Like, you know, but Chawang Beach, right? That main strip there is crazy. Like, it's always busy. It's always not. It's like a war zone. It's empty. You know, you would think that that some kind of apocalypse happened. So, you know, I mean, you got to get to that island. It's not easy, you know. So
yeah, that's the other thing. There are some places I'd like to go. I'd really like to go to some places, and you know, my old lady said, "Why don't you go with Longhorn somewhere? Why don't you go do something with him?" And I'm like, "Because I don't want to get stuck." You know, and at the very least, I need to wait until you know, like I don't know, a week or two after the vaccination from yesterday. You know, so we'll see, but I'm just not thrilled to be traveling around right now, because I don't like giving any reason. You're locked up there, Soy Dog Cowboy. I don't like giving any reason. There you go. To be stuck in a situation that I don't want to be in. You know, I like my freedom. So
well, I mean, just you know, getting from province to province is really the issue. So,
and if they tighten it up, like supposedly they've been saying this in the Thai news, they're going to make things more strict. They are going to clamp down further. You know, you just don't want to be running around and going from place to place. And yes, there are some places that I would like to be stuck. You know, I guess there was one place, I don't even remember the name of the place. I wrote it down somewhere. And it's not a place that's easy to get to. It's an island. And I'd never even heard of this island. But then I looked it up, and I thought, oh, maybe I can go there. And then I started looking at how to get there. And I was like, fuck that. I mean, in normal times, I'd be like, yeah, I'm there. But
well, isn't Phuket still part of like a place you can go to? It's part of the whole.
Well, yeah, yeah, but I mean, you know, like I said, they're right now, they've had more cases than the 90 cases that is supposed to shut down that whole sandbox and make people, you know, put people off. They're not allowed to let people in and all these kind of things. So they're still some question of whether they're going to implement that or not. And then the other thing is that it's difficult to get around from there. The idea was that you go to Phuket and then, hey, I'm going to fly here and fly there and go here and go there. I can go to all of Thailand. And now that's not the case, you know.
Right, but you know, why not just go there to chill out in Phuket? You know, it's really nice there. You know, it is, and with less tourists, it's
honestly,
even nicer.
I'd rather go to Samui, to be honest.
If it's if it's open, that's what I'm saying. So
it's open now.
you know, Samui's empty. That's really empty though. Like nothing is open there. See,
empty. I don't want to be around people.
I know, but I mean, you got to. Even the 7-Elevens are closed. You know, I mean.
Well, so they are in Phuket as well.
No, they opened up for some of the.
There are some of them that are open, and there's some that are still closed. Yeah. Man.
I still, you know what really made this thing an apocalypse was when I saw that the McDonald's were closing down. I'm like, wow, that to me.
McDonald's, 7-Eleven, Fresh Mart, Starbucks. Yeah.
You know, when you see these chains that have, you know, have that kind of money to sort of weather the storm, right. And they shut down, you're like, holy Toledo. Wow. I mean, that is just wild to me.
Yeah, that's where, you know, when you look at it, you go, wow, this is really serious. And, you know, it's like, you're going to go to Phuket. Hey, let's go have a beer. Oh, we have to get the beer at 7-Eleven. Oh, that 7-Eleven down the street's closed. I mean, you know, and there are some beautiful places. I understand if you can get there and stay there, or Samui. They're beautiful places. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're wonderful places. You know, there's a lot to do there. I don't know that I would fly from overseas to get there. But from here, it isn't, you know, like my wife was saying, well, why don't you just go there? And I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe Samui's better, you know. I don't know.
Well, I think Niall will head back to Thailand, to Ireland if the KFC shuts down. That's his bailiwick. He's got to have
the KFC. I prefer the Texas chicken, and they get great deals, man. It's very.
We had a whole debate about it. With Texas chicken did come into the conversation, but he's all about the original recipe. So it's if you know, got to go.
You know,
I prefer. I got to tell you, all of it. I prefer.
Man, I like KFC, but you know, I also like. I like Texas chicken. I like the fact that they have wraps that are excellent and they're inexpensive, and you can get a huge spread for like 400 baht. I mean, you know, it's ridiculous.
I still like, you know what? I tell you, this street chicken, you know, the fried chicken they cook right there in the big vat of oil and they sell it on the street. That? I love it, man. There was this one hidden place in Pattaya. I remember it was on this little side street. So they had a stall. It wasn't, you know, like a tuk-tuk with a, you know, whatever it is, you know, a little travel store. So they had a storefront and they were making this chicken, and there was always a line of Thai people. It was just Thai people. And it was near, what was the name of the place I was staying at? Centric Sea, right? So there's this little alleyway that you walk down and then it takes you to the side street. Man, it was so good. And they were just, it was cranking out fresh chicken all the time into this probably, you know, oil they haven't cleaned in God knows how long, but it tasted so good. And it was so cheap. And to me, that's some of the best food that I've had in Thailand, you know?
Listen, nothing will beat that gayang that I used to have almost every day when I was in Koh Chang. That stuff was absolutely the best. I mean, it was, and I've had some, you know, some of the 5-star, the Ha Dao chicken that was fantastic. But I don't know, something happened in the last couple of years where that chicken is not quite as good. And if you want good pork, man, you got to go into the place where Longhorns went and got the pork, man. That is fantastic stuff. It's a little,
you know. But what I miss, I tell you, you know what's interesting. You know what's interesting about it here, at least, you know, in New York. Now I haven't gone around enough lately, but you know, I love to get anything with, you know, with kai dao, you know, and they don't make that here. They, like, even in the Thai restaurants, you could order, you know, they have pat karamu, but they don't put the egg on top. And even if you ask for it,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we had that the other day here.
You got to have the egg, you got to have kai dao, and they don't have it in the States. And I'm like, come on,
Well, you tell them to make you a fried egg.
I tell them they won't do it. I don't know why. And they're Thai. It's a Thai restaurant, with Thai people.
Yeah, that's a damn
know?
shame. Blasphemy.
Oh, it is blasphemy. And I mean, that is, that's good stuff, So, ouch. It's very frustrating when you
All
want
right,
the good
so
food.
the name of this place, I found the name of the place. It's Koh Nang Yuan, which is near Koh Tao.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be fantastic to get there, but there's only one place to stay. I don't know if they're open now. It's a diving place. You don't have to go diving, but you're gonna have to pay to stay in the place, of course. But that's the only place on the island that you can stay. But it's supposed to be a fantastic place. I don't know that that I would be able to get there or anything like that. And that's the other thing. It's like you can't even check. I mean, if I really want, I could call the place up, I guess, and go, "Hey, are you guys open? What's happening? How can I get there?" I could do all that.
Yeah. You can.
This is the future. Everything's going to be a hassle. You want to go to Pattaya from Bangkok? It's going to be like I'm going to have to call 48 places to get a ride. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but that's how it might be.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, Scotty, I'm going to run.
All right, you run. Where are you going? Sleep?
I'm going to go try and get some sleep. Well,
good to talk to you again.
Always a pleasure, sir.
We'll talk to you soon. Take care of your eyes, your neck, what else? Your heart.
And the car.
And the car. The car is not quite as important as the heart and everything else, but your eyes are better. Your eyes are better, right?
I haven't had any new retinal tears, which is really what I'm trying to avoid here. So I still have the floaters in the left eye. I go for another follow-up next week to make sure there's no new tears. I think there won't be, and we'll just keep on going from there, and it should be okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys. Everybody, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye. All right. Good to see him. Good to know he's doing all right. We give you an egg, then everyone want egg. No egg for you. No egg for you. You want pat kapow? No egg for you. Imagine if there was the soup Nazi in Thailand, except he was, no pad thai for you. No kway for you. That's good, man. So anyway, yeah, this is the situation where we are in here. It's not really fantastic, but every day that you're alive, it's better than the alternative, and hopefully, although we may not see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, it will happen. We will see it eventually. Now, I'm looking at some quick notes here. In Bangsu, the vaccinations are going to continue, but they're not going to take any more walk-ins because the walk-ins are where they get the problem. They just let anybody come in. You have to be registered. And Phuket is tightening the restrictions. Let's see here. Because of these high numbers, gatherings, I don't get this. Gatherings will be limited to 100 people, down from the previous 150 people. I don't know that does anything. What else? I don't see anything else. Let's see here. Okay. Until August 2nd, temporary shutdown of, well, this has been shut down for quite some time. Pubs, bars, karaoke lounges, other entertainment venues, cockfighting, fish fighting, bird racing, chicken races, and boxing rings are closed. Temporary shutdown of Central Phuket Floresta Central Phuket Festival. Well, so that's something they had made a big deal about. A lot of people didn't know. They said, hey, we're going to have this festival, and then now they're shutting it down. Other malls will continue to be open according to the previous order, but gaming arcades, gaming shops, children's playgrounds, and fun parks will be closed inside the malls. Closing time of these malls, 9 o'clock. Fresh markets and flea markets are still open, but with a 4 square meter social distancing measure per person. Schools are closed until August 15th. Listen, schools have been closed here, like I said, for quite some time. I don't see this going away anytime soon. They're not going to open this term for school. There's not a chance in hell when you got this many people. They're showing up every day with increasing numbers. There's not a chance in hell they're going to open up the schools. And I don't know that I would even want Alex and Nicholas to go to school right now because they're not vaccinated. I don't care if they are young and strong. Why would you put them in the eye of the tiger? You know, the eye of the hurricane. All right, let me see something else here. No parties, no gatherings of 100 people, no activity or alcoholic drinks on public beaches, parks, playgrounds, or along roadsides. It does say restaurants can open and serve alcoholic drinks, but must close at 9 o'clock. Violations are to be punished with a fine of between 20,000 and 100,000 baht or jail time between 1 to 2 years or both. So at least, they're doing a little something there. I don't know, what that's going to do. Also, Thailand, the Thai baht is Asia's worst performing currency. Is it Asia's or let me see here. Wow. It just says Thailand's baht is the worst performing currency in 2021, according to Japan's Mizuho Bank in a note to its clients. Baht has been steadily falling since the beginning of the year and was the worst hit currency by the pandemic within the region. All right, that's what I thought. The Thai economy has contracted 6.1% due to the effects of the pandemic. Projections for positive growth in 2021 have been hampered by the third and most severe wave of the pandemic, which began on April 1st and has continued to infect hundreds of thousands. Wow. It's bad enough being in a lockdown in your own country. I can't imagine how bad a lockdown would be in a foreign country. I mean, to me, this is not really a foreign country, honestly. I mean, it's home. For some people, it might be. But I can't, I look at what's going on in Australia now, and I'm like, man, this government is just, they are not playing, and I don't know. I saw there was a large protest. I think it was it was either in Sydney or Melbourne. But what's going to happen if they continue to do this? If the people continue to go out and protest in mass, is it going to get violent? And the same thing goes for Thailand. That's what I question. Is this going to lead to violence? Because when people start having problems getting food, then the situation has gotten really, really serious, especially here in Thailand where food has never been much of an issue. I can tell you, I did a little review of or the little video yesterday about prices going up in Thailand, and they are going up and they continue to go up. And what I've noticed is there's shortages. If you buy the same things almost all the time as we do, we like to eat certain things, and we buy probably 80 or 90% of the food that we buy. We buy the same products almost all the time. And I'll tell you, frozen fruit, frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, the price has gone up a little bit on those, but there's a shortage of this stuff. And the meat, there's not all that much meat. There's not as much available as there was before. There was a chicken farm here in Thailand that apparently was infected, and there was something like, I don't know, it was a large number. I'm not going to say the number because I don't remember what it was. I want to say 6,000, but I'm not sure of that, so I don't want to say it. It could have been 600, but I thought it was 6,000 plus. And so that's another concern, is when the supply chains uh, start having problems, or you start having problems with the supply chain, and they have problems bringing new products in, and then the prices are going up. We have, I can tell you, we've spent more money on food in the last year than we have ever before. We're constantly buying, 10, 15, 20 packs of water. We're doing all kinds of things to make sure we're set up. We're buying all kinds of dry goods and canned goods so that they last longer and we don't have to worry about them. I don't know if it was true to destroy the crops. I don't know. And Mr. Mitchell was over their freedoms. The irony is that almost certain to spread it and increase the lockdown. Yeah, I don't really know. I can only follow so many things at once. I'm not all that good at following the U.S. news all that much. I tend to look at the headlines, and if it doesn't interest me, then I don't look, because I just don't want to burden myself with that. And that's what it's become. It's become a burden to look at the news. And the other thing is that you never know what's true. Half the time I look at stuff and I go, is that really true? Usually when the Thai news comes out with something, if they come out with it and then in the next day or two, you don't hear any more about it, then that's it. It's done. And maybe it wasn't true. But if it continues and it's always in the news, then it's a problem. And what is a problem here is the shortage of vaccines. So how this is going to affect Thailand in the future, I wish Pattaya Bob was on, because I really, or Carlos was still on, because we've already talked about that Pattaya is in a bad way. I don't know that they're ever going to have the number of bars and number of go-go's and number of discos and number of, nightlife venues. I don't think it's ever going to be the same again. I think other things are going to take over. And, it's about the money. Who's willing to pay and who's willing to pay the most? It used to be Clinton Plaza over Sukhumvit Soy 15. And that place was happening because there was like 10 bars in the place. They must have been collecting a fair amount of money. Maybe those were, I don't know how it worked. I don't have any idea about it. But eventually what happened was a hotel wanted to purchase the land, or a person wanted to purchase the land, and then they've been building a hotel there, and Clinton Plaza's long gone. It's a memory. That's it, and that's what happens here. So I have my doubts about Pattaya rebounding or Phuket rebounding. How many of the people are going to want to keep paying month after month after month after month and keep getting shut down? They're open. Oh, let's go. And then, 2 months later, oh, you're shut down again. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's something to consider. It's something to think about when you're thinking about the future of Thailand. I want to say things are going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to be all right here. Don't you worry. Don't be negative. No, I don't. I have a hard time thinking that way. I don't believe it's going to be the worst place on earth to be by any means. But I do think that maybe it's going to get to a point where maybe the juice is not worth the squeeze. It already is right now. And I love that analogy. But for some, what I said the other day is that if all the bars were to open up in Pattaya, I think they'd get a lot of tourists. People wouldn't care. But then you'd have a big mess once they all started falling down with illnesses and getting sick. And, they'd say the COVID numbers have been driven way up. And then they just shut it down again. So, it is what it is. This is what happens. Anyway, I think that yeah, I don't watch TikTok. I don't want to watch TikTok. I have no desire to see TikTok stuff. I don't care about TikTok. Let me tell you something. One thing that has turned me off of Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram is the way Facebook, they have been suggesting things to me. And I'm like, are you trying to piss me off? Are you trying to convert me to the other side? You know, they're suggesting videos about Joe Biden and what a fantastic president he is. They're suggesting PETA videos where guys are, you know, I talked about this the other day, where some guys like hugging a cow going, you can't eat her, eat vegetables instead. Now, I got nothing against people who want to be vegetarians or vegans, nothing at all. But I kept clicking, do not send me again. And I kept getting message after message saying, look at this TikTok video. And then it was Greta Thunberg. And that really pissed me off. And when I got her video, I was like, oh, come on. I just couldn't believe it. I need a Dean and DeLuca cappuccino. What about, what's that other place? Sarni's? What about Sarni's? What's the matter with Sarni's? You got to have, I mean, go buy yourself some, tell them to go make, I think they'll make you a civet shit coffee, which, by the way, we had some of that. Jono and I and Longhorns all had the civet shit coffee. That was my second go round with the civet shit coffee. And it was quite good. Quite smooth. So. Facebook really irritates me. And the fact that Instagram, first of all, I don't care if I'm liked. I don't care if my photos are liked. Really, the only thing that's ever mattered to me, do I think the photo's a good photo? Does a professional, like an editor or somebody who's a very respected photographer, do they appreciate the photo and think it's a good photo? And does it make money? Other than that, I don't care. Anybody can take a photo. Not everybody can take a decent photo. Some people take shitty photos all the time and they think that they've got fantastic photos. You know, I don't really care. I've never cared about that. I don't care about the likes. I don't care about, you know, I really don't care about the thumbs up. I don't care about any of this shit. You know, if you like me, you like me. If you don't like me, oh well. What am I going to do? You know, and Facebook, forget about Facebook. You know, Facebook, and my buddy told me the other day, he put up a couple of photos. They were my photos, okay? And this is the guy who has the gallery. He put up the photos, and Facebook told him he couldn't put the photos up. First, it was they couldn't put the photos up because the guy was smoking a cigar. And he's like, what the and then he put it up again, and for some reason, they declined it again, even though I've already put the photo up, and I didn't have any problems. Then he said I had to wait for like another month. And he was like, I put it off for months. Said I finally got it on there, but I put it off for months. If you can get good photos of a boxing match, that's the top of the photo food chain. I wish that was the case. It's not the top of the photo food chain when it comes to getting paid, but that kind of action photo or any kind of sports photo where, you know, it's, you know, you need to be a decent photographer to get good shots, you know. I mean, I have some tennis stuff that I took photos from was it the Bangkok Open or the Thailand Open or something? For like 2-3 years, I photographed that. But, you know, it's not something I really enjoyed. The boxing I enjoyed. Now I don't want anything to do with boxing. I watched the MMA and I watched some boxing, but like I'm just tired of it. I'm tired with the whole shtick. I'm tired with the bullshit decisions and the bullshit that goes on, and how most of the fighters end up getting screwed around or they end up with nothing, you know. And some of it's their fault, but not always. That's why most of the time I'd rather go out and just do street photography. When there's nobody on the street, I guess, that's a whole nother issue. You got to figure out what are you going to photograph that's out there. And then, if you're going to put photos up on Instagram, I don't know. It just, for what? If you got decent photos, people find out eventually. And I don't mean decent as in, like, oh, Marge, that was such a nice photo. No, I'm talking about decent in the realm of professional photography. Like real photographers look at your work and go, hey, he's got some good stuff. Guy's pretty good, or he's really good. He's extremely talented, however you want to put it. So, what is this? More messages that, true internet. They're constantly calling me up. Would you like, they ask for my wife. And I'm like, why do you want to speak to her? We want to know if you want the internet. I'm like, I already have the internet with you. Why do you keep calling me? Why don't you look at your accounts? We've already got an internet account with you guys. It's the only thing I got with True anymore. I used to have all kinds of things with True. Now we got one thing left, and that's the internet. So anyway, listen, please, if you would be so kind, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, purchase a t-shirt like one of the ones you see here, or you should see down below the window, or you can join and become a YouTube sponsor. You get the all kinds of little things, little doodads, little icons next to your name. There's a bunch of people that were in here, a few people that were in here earlier that are members. You can do that. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can get my book. You can join Patreon. You can do all kinds of things. But anyway, we've come to the end of another stream. Thank you very much to everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't know what else we got to talk about here. We don't have much else to talk about. Things are as they are. Steve, if you're still listening, I'm wondering, how is everything down south where you are? Because I know you're in an area where things might be a little more lax than other areas, like up here in Bangkok. Later, Andy. He's down there in the south. There has been a breakout here. Yeah. Once there's a breakout, automatically the government's like, you can't go anywhere. Don't go out. Let's close everything. We're scared. And, what makes it worse is when you see pictures or photos or video of people laying on the street, or you hear about, the lady who died and her 2 kids are laying there with her, crying. And they got to go to the father's gone and they're orphans. When you see that kind of stuff, and that's not good for. That doesn't make people happy to see these things. I'm spending tons of time playing Scrabble and doing my plantation. My daughter heads back soon. Really, she's going to go back. Wow. And have you noticed any American traits when she came back, or is her English much better, or what? Have you noticed anything? I'm curious. We've thought about just sending the kids over to be vaccinated, but at this point, I don't know that it's really necessary. I think they'll be fine no matter what. We wait on the schools, though. Sometimes it's like, it's like banging your head on the wall. Hopefully, eventually the wall will break, but you got to keep banging at it and keep 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 waiting and waiting and waiting for, something to happen. But sometimes it's better to be patient, So anyway, thank you very much. Let me see if I can get some music on here, some goodbye music, a little goodbye music. Do we have any of that? I don't know how good this is. Old song. She kind of went goth over there. Oh, wow. Listen, Alex had the really long hair. Now his hair is shorter, and Nicholas's hair is getting longer. You know, I don't want to tell them what to do because then they'll probably do the opposite. So, anyway, thank you, Dallo. Thank you, Steve. And until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Choke me, Dirk and my, and all that good stuff. Talk to you guys later.